Welcome to Truth Revealed. If you watched my previous video, that previous video content contained 20 to 40 Black Wall Streets that this United States of America single-handedly destroyed, with all of the entities here in the United States that are supposed to be here to protect us. And that's if you believe in that shit. Because I know better. What I am here to do today is to allow you to hear every story that I can get my fingertips on about what happened to our people. Because you need to hear it out loud. You need to hear out loud what has happened to our people. So first, here's my disclaimer. This channel is dedicated to documenting and examining historical and contemporary injustices affecting Black Americans, including government actions, law enforcement conduct, institutional discrimination, civil rights violations, and other matters of public concern. The content presented is for educational, documentary, journalistic, and commentary purposes. All information is based on publicly available sources, historical records, court documents, news reports, and independent research. This channel does not promote violence, hatred, harassment, or unlawful conduct against any individual, group, agency, or institution. The purpose of this content is to preserve historical awareness, encourage critical thinking, and foster informed public discussion. Viewer discretion is advised, as some content may include disturbing historical events, graphic accounts, or sensitive subject matters. Now let's get to it. Because what I'm going to talk about here should have everybody pissed off. Because here in America, I think Black Americans, in some instances, we've gotten too comfortable and have forgotten that the fight, the struggle continues. You get a bite to eat, you get comfortable, you get a fat belly, and then you start going to sleep. But the shit is still happening to us here. Okay? Let's get to it. This here, I just did 60. Here go 50 more. Here are 50 more distinct Black towns and communities destroyed, displaced, are systematically dismantled, none repeated from the previous list. Okay? 50 more. And this is a very tiny macro. You can't, but you gotta see it, of atrocities, terrorism done to the original people here on their own land. Because that's a whole nother story, but I'm going to get to it. 50 more distinct Black towns and communities destroyed, displaced, or systematically dismantled. Independent Hill, Prince William County, Virginia. In the 1960s, a self-sufficient Black community established after the Civil War was demolished through county-backed rezoning and development pressure, erasing generations of Black land ownership in Northern Virginia. Rundle, St. Paul, Minnesota, 1956 through 1968. One of the most vibrant Black communities in Minnesota was destroyed when Interstate 94 was deliberately routed through its heart by state and federal highway planners, displacing over 600 Black families and eliminating hundreds of Black-owned businesses in what residents called a calculated act of racial destruction. Albina, Portland, Oregon, 1950s through the 1970s. Portland's only significant Black neighborhood was systematically dismantled through urban renewal, hospital expansion, and highway construction backed by city and state government, displacing thousands of Black residents who had been confined to Albina by racially restrictive covenants in the first place. Hannibal Square, Winter Park, Florida, I was 1880s through the 1990s. A Black community founded by free slaves on the west side of Winter Park was gradually eroded through city-backed gentrification, discriminatory zoning, and infrastructure neglect spanning more than a century, eventually pricing out nearly all Black residents. College Town, Tallahassee, Florida, 1960s, a thriving neighborhood adjacent to Florida A&M University, was demolished through urban renewal backed by city and federal funds, displacing Black families and businesses that had served the community for generations. Darktown, Raleigh, North Carolina, 1960s. Despite its derogatory name imposed by white residents, this Black neighborhood was a self sustaining community that was bulldozed through urban renewal projects funded by the federal government, scattering its residents across the city. The Wedge, Louisville, Kentucky, 1920s through 1950s. A Black neighborhood was systematically hemmed in by racially restrictive covenants enforced by city government and real estate associations, then demolished through urban renewal, permanently erasing a community that had thrived despite external pressure. Jonesville, Beaufort County, South Carolina, post Reconstruction, a Black land-owning community established by freed slaves, was stripped of its land through legally manipulated tax sales and sheriff enforced seizures as Reconstruction protections were dismantled, leaving families landless within a generation. Haiti Raleigh, North Carolina. If I say the name wrong, please just keep it moving if you know what I'm saying, because there's no time to pause. Let's stay focused. Haiti Raleigh is spelled Hayti. Raleigh, Raleigh, North Carolina, 1960 through 1970. Separate from Durham's Haiti, Raleigh also had a Black neighborhood of the same name that was demolished through urban renewal and highway construction, eliminating Black businesses and institutions that had anchored the community for decades. Broad Street, Augusta, Georgia. Augusta's historic Black business district was decimated through urban renewal projects backed by city and federal government, with Black-owned businesses receiving inadequate compensation and Black residents displaced without meaningful relocation assistance. Tremonton, Box Elder County, Utah. In the early 1900s, a small Black community that had established itself in Utah was driven out through a combination of local law enforcement harassment, threats of violence, and economic exclusion backed by community leaders who made clear that Black residents were not welcome to stay. Baptist Town, Greenwood, Mississippi, I apologize. Early to the mid 1900s, a Black neighborhood in the Mississippi Delta was subjected to decades of deliberate city neglect, flooding from inadequate drainage infrastructures the city refused to fix, and economic exclusion that kept residents trapped in poverty while surrounding white communities received city investment. Newtown, Clewiston, Florida. It's spelled Clewiston. Clewiston, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Florida, in the mid 1900s. A Black agricultural community in South Florida was kept in conditions of near slavery by sugar companies operating with full knowledge and cooperation of local sheriffs and county officials who enforced debt peonage and prevented Black workers from leaving. Lincoln Beach, New Orleans, Los Angeles, 1964 to present day, a beloved Black resort and recreation area on Lake Pontchartrain. It's spelled Pontchartrain. That's Pontchartrain. something like that, created because, oh, let me start that over. Lincoln Beach, New Orleans, Los Angeles, 1964 to present day, a beloved black resort and recreation area on Lake Pontchartrain, created because black residents were excluded from white beaches by law, was closed after desegregation and then left to decay by city government, which refused to invest in or maintain the site despite its deep cultural significance to Black New Orleans. Smoky Hollow, Tallahassee, Florida, 1950s through the 1960s, a historic Black neighborhood adjacent to the state capitol, was demolished through urban renewal, with residents displaced to make way for government buildings while receiving minimal compensation and no genuine community input into the decision. Little Liberia, Bridgeport, Connecticut, mid to 1900.